Hey, Diana, did you know a client relations department is more important than AI?
Mark, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Ladies and gentlemen, jurists and just curious, welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast. Here you'll learn about marketing, management, and life skills for lawyers that probably won't get you disbarred. Hosted by Marc Whitehead, a seasoned lawyer who remembers when fax machines were cutting edge, and Diana Berry, attorney, COO, and the brains behind the scenes. Together, they are the legal world's most dynamic duo since statutes met regulations. So if you're looking to build a practice, not a prison, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful Barrister, where legal legends are made.
And welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast, the podcast for lawyers and law firm leaders about marketing, management, and life skills that probably won't get you disbarred. I am your host, Marc Whitehead, alongside my number one, my COO, Diana Berry. Hey, Diana, what's up?
Not much, Mark. I am enjoying the that we completely, absolutely dressed for the same event today.
Okay, so today is a big, big day. Why?
It is opening day in Houston.
Opening day. The Astros take on, quite frankly, I forgot who the Astros played this
I didn't know.
But I'm wearing my Astros jersey, getting ready for baseball season. You know, hope springs eternal in the spring, you know, before your dreams die in October.
Yeah.
So,
but I dressed for podcast in a lilac dress tweed. I don't know what this is.
And I'm in an Astros jersey.
Exactly. So we dressed for you guys today. Yeah. But Mark, I think, is also a little bitter because I did today's outline and I'm very excited about it. And he thinks it's so good that I used AI and I didn't.
Okay. Well, if you didn't, then you're spending a lot of time on this that you could be doing other things with.
But guys, I'm really excited about it because we're talking about client relations and we are going to do it kind of, we usually do 201 that is more kind of intermediate things. But our client relations department is brand new to Marc Whitehead and Associates. So we're going to kind of do a 101 episode. And in light of that, this is going to cover like the who, what, where, when, why, how.
Okay, so before we go there, I have to mention one thing. Sort of a plug. You and I did a podcast this week that was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
That I'm hoping doesn't even see the light of day.
We're hoping they trash it. But it was, so we have to plug the vendor.
Can we plug it if it gets aired?
I don't know. So the podcast is called what?
It's produced by Mean Pug, I believe.
Mean Pug is
It's called the Devil's Advocate Podcast or something. Devil's Advocate something podcast.
It was the weirdest thing ever, and I don't even know how to explain it. And it took us half an hour to even understand what the premise was. But it was sort of like a game show.
Us or you?
Me.
Because I did.
So it was sort of like, remember the old show, The Dating Game, where you would get thrown. Or maybe it was the Newlywed Game, whatever. But, you know, they'd put couples in and they would put them in weird questions and then we have to argue about it.
I don't know what game show that was.
This was the weirdest podcast ever. And I can't imagine how they're going to edit this thing together.
They heavily edit based on what I watched when I did my homework to prepare for the podcast.
Oh, I didn't prepare for it at all.
For us for.
Yes.
Which, let's talk about that over lunch, about you signing us up
my
for
good,
things.
My good friend Tara got us on this podcast for whatever reason.
Your good. Do you see how you do with the your and the us?
So let's do one thing. Let's at least plug their company called Mean Pug.
That's literally all I know about it, Mark.
They're an SEO vendor. They basically will build your websites for you, and they were split off from Morgan & Morgan. They used to work for John Morgan as an internal team, so I assume they know something. So, all right, there's our cheap plug. They put us on the podcast. Go check it out. It's probably horrible.
Please don't.
It's probably awful.
But back to today's podcast and our podcast. I'm really excited because, as you guys know, when we talk about things, Mark is a big fan of the Who Not How book, which is really, no offense to that author, but it's simplistic in the fact that all you have to say is instead of how, who, and Mark's who, whenever there's any problem that he needs fixing is...
you.
Yeah, exactly. I am his who. He literally points to me and says...
Take care of it.
Fix it.
Fix it. Okay.
It's a lot shorter. It's
fix it. Yes.
And then so that's basically all you've heard from us. But now you get to hear my side of the story, which is the how. How did we fix the problem that our Marc's growing firm needed a corresponding growing client services arm, which really, it's brand new. So today we're really going to do what I said before. We're going to talk about the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, the why, and the how. But we're going to first start with the why. Why did we feel that now, after 32 years in business and now at 4,700 matters in-house, did we really feel like this was the time that we needed a client relations department? And to me, it started with the thesis, Diana's thesis, that basically in the next 10 years, a compassionate, empathetic, human workforce will be the ultimate competitive advantage in any service industry.
Right. In the world of AI, the people who can emphasize their humanity are the ones that are going to win. That's our theory. We could be dead wrong. We could be on the street in a year, but we're going to go with it.
Well, and we're going to go with that. But even if you don't believe us, really, you need a client relations department because you need. Firstly, and really urgently for us, we were trying to get ahead of any negative reviews. We were trying to utilize the information that you were paying for to find the canaries in the coal mine. Right.
You can't unring the bell when you get that negative review, absent a few minor exceptions. But, the best way to keep your 5-star rating up is to don't get those negative reviews, at least not publicly. Now, I like when we get negative feedback, if we get it privately, because that's when you see the canary in the coal mines, and we're not perfect. And the first thing we do is if we get some negative feedback, we thank them for it. Thank you for letting us know. I did not know, because I can't know everything that's going on with 60, 70, 80 people. So the best way to know what's going on is to survey your clients, get some feedback, thank them, particularly when they give some negative comments that are constructive that we can work off of. So that's kind of the way I view it. But we don't like the public negative comments because those can be embarrassing.
And because Marc thinks that way,
which is why you need to ask first. Don't wait for them to say something.
And that's what we're going to talk about today. How we ask, what we do when we ask now, because we were asking, and Marc may not like me saying this and admitting this to a public audience, but we were asking and not doing anything with that information. So, which was the absolute worst thing.
Nobody owned it.
We didn't have a place to own it. And that's when we decided to develop our client relations department. So I did Google a statistic for you guys. One negative review can cause a 22% drop in customers, while multiple negative reviews can cause that figure to climb towards 70%. And so what we're trying to do is get ahead of that 22% number.
Did you just make that statistic up?
As all statistics are, yes, sir.
It's all made up.
Google made this one up, though.
Right, Google made it up. But
I didn't do anything.
Just
I
making
lack
sure.
ownership in that one.
Okay, just check your sources.
But also on the flip side, what we wanted to intentionally do with our client relations department was not just make it about negative things. In the initial planning meetings where I was with our marketing director and our intake manager, they're like, well, it can't just be a negative thing. This person can't come in all day, every day, and just deal with the negative reviews, the angry clients, the call escalations, because that would be a very hard thing. And so what we also wanted to do was more ably develop our client testimonials.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So how can we utilize our happy clients for more 5-star reviews and more client referrals?
And how can you use them? Yeah, well, exactly. How can you use them in your marketing more effectively?
All right. So stay tuned for how we are developing our client relations department, some of the mistakes we've already made, and the lessons we've learned.
This podcast is sponsored by Marc Whitehead & Associates, a national disability benefits law firm. Marc Whitehead runs a firm of over 60 dedicated people whose mission is to make a difference in the lives of our injured and disabled clients. Marc represents disabled claimants in Social Security disability, private disability insurance, and veterans disability claims in all 50 states. Marc Whitehead is double board certified in both Social Security disability law and personal injury trial law. Marc has litigated disability cases in over 40 states and counting, and can help your clients too. Stop throwing your phone calls away. Call Marc Whitehead at 701-VIP-LEAD. That's 701-VIP-LEAD. or visit our website at disabilitydenials.com. Referral fees are paid in all jurisdictions where it is permitted. Refer us your disability cases today and know that your clients will be in good hands.
All right, Diana, now lay it on me. This is your outline.
Well,
this is your department. This is your baby.
Yes.
This is your brainchild. So I know you're all excited and giddy. So let's talk.
Well, I'm a little excited because we are talking about, well, it is my outline. So I guess, yeah, I'm excited. So, but the first question we're going to address is the who. Who did we pick for our client relations administrator for the first person to fill that role who didn't work? And so she actually came to us through our receptionist pool of candidates. So I remember she was one of 3 final candidates that came in for a final interview. And one of the feedback immediately after she left was no, absolutely not.
And the reason was stunning to me. She was too nice. Mm-hmm. She was too nice. She was too helpful. The theory being is that she would never get off a call, that your receptionist needs to be efficient, routing calls, be merry, matter of fact, be friendly, but she was too friendly.
Exactly, which was, I was shocked. Once I got over that shock, though, I realized she would be a perfect fit for what we were still kind of in the back of my mind when Marc was like, go fix it. In the back of my mind, I was like, oh,
so in other words,
that might be a perfect person for that position.
Right, so... this is the whole seat. Wrong person, right seat, or right seat.
Exactly. Right. Whatever she was the wrong person. Yeah.
She was right, but we knew that we had to keep her and find a role for her.
We knew that we liked her problem-solving ability and her ability to soothe clients, which would have made her a great receptionist. So her DISC, and you guys know we talk a lot about DISC here. DISC is DISC. It's a behavioral test. So just so you guys know exactly, we use TTI for hours through Atticus, and they grade each of those indices on a 0 to 100. So I looked up our current client relations administrator's DISC, and just so you guys know, she's an SC, meaning she's really strong in the S, steadiness. So she's not going to get really flustered when we get angry, or when she gets angry clients, which was perfect for a receptionist, right? You get a receptionist, you get an angry client, or someone who's, on the phone, and that would have been great. We look for those in receptionists. Mm-hmm. She was also in a C, which not necessarily as important for a receptionist, but great for a client relations administrator, especially one in a new position.
A person that pays attention to detail.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then she also had very strong I and D. So I being influence and D being for dominance. So I thought, after looking back, that those were really, she was above 40 in both of those, but not above the line, which would have made her a high in those indices. So just strong enough where I felt the I, she's great talking to clients. I've listened to her. She's actually helped me when we were in quote unquote training, where I was supposed to be training her on how Marc Whitehead and Associates likes to de-escalate situations, because it was all being done just informally and from whoever could do it. She was like, but this is how you do it. She was training me on how to do it. She was like, this is, don't raise your voice, just talk slower. She already knew I talked too fast.
Oh my God, you talk fast.
So
and the more excited you get, the faster you talk.
Yeah. I wonder if people listen to me on 0.5 or like 1.
No, the worst thing that you do is when you're like showing stuff up on the screen and you'll start wiggling it with your mouse, and like I start having epileptic seizures, and you're just wiggling it because you get so excited. I'm just telling you some of
my problems,
some of your flaws.
Okay, let's get back to the IC. So I love that she was a high enough I that Marc just wanted to will use anything to complain about me, any forum. So she's an I, so she likes to talk to clients, but she's a strong enough D that she also has boundaries, which she wasn't going to let anyone really walk all over her, but she's not also going to be aggressive in her tone. If with those high Ds, those trial lawyers like to.
Yeah, that's just we hate high Ds. High Ds suck.
Oh,
I just have I know. That's what the lawyers are. Well, that's the thing, is like I always bitch about my lawyers. Lawyers typically are high Ds.
Yes, they are. So we've also have a friend, Craig Goldenfarb. So he was talking to us about his client relations department. He found someone internally, one of his case managers, really high talk times.
They just won't shut up.
That was exactly
And that's the problem. We've had that.
When you're a case manager.
Right. You have to be efficient with your time. You have to get on the phone, be matter of fact, let's take care of it. All right, moving on, next call. Right. You can't sit there and spend 45 minutes shooting the breeze about the weather.
unless you're a client relations person.
Then you can.
Exactly. So look for these people. When we talk about the who, how are you going to even like write the how? That's the question we're really ultimately answering, is how you develop a client relations department. Who is like, well, how do I even find this person? This is kind of what we found looks for, look what the disc looks like for us. Yeah. This person, as Marc mentioned, does report to me. It doesn't always maybe make sense to report to me, but as a new person, she has very strong connecting dots to marketing as well as to intake. I will say that we tried this in another iteration. So one of these things that we're going to admit about what didn't work. I would argue, from my experience, that too high of an I would almost be a bad thing.
So here's the problem I see with too high of an I is I's want to be liked, and people that want to be liked avoid conflict. And you can't do that in this position. You have to tackle conflict head on. So what you don't want in this position is somebody who's going to avoid the conflict. This is naturally, and I don't say conflict in a let's battle it out sort of way, but typically in customer service, there's problems, there's bad situations, and you need to tackle the problem, you need to solve the problem, you need to find a fix. You can't avoid the problem. So that would be the problem I would see with going with too high of an I. You want somebody that's grounded and is a problem solver.
Exactly. So moving on to when we knew it was time. One of the things that I just want to mention is that obviously, as we've mentioned repeatedly and probably ad nauseum on this podcast, is Marc is a growth-oriented.
If you've listened to all of these podcasts, you have got to be nauseous. That's all I have to say about it.
Well, you'll kind of say the same thing over and over again.
Don't
let that secret
There's
out.
only so many ways to skin a cat, you know.
Marc, you are going to get PETA after us?
PETA?
PETA? Yeah, PETA's coming after us now.
It's just a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even own a cat, okay?
That's probably going to get you in trouble too. One of the things that we are is a growth-oriented firm. And so one of the things you're obviously going to see as your case count grows is just a rise in client complaints. It's just inevitable because you haven't yet scaled your processes and or your tech for your new volume. So therein is going to be the friction. And so what we started to see pretty consistently, this is how we knew it was our win, was just a rise in call escalations. This is probably more of a volume problem, because you have.
We are a volume practice, and just even if we get it right 99% of the time, if you have a lot of volume, that 1% is going to rear its ugly head. So.
And we serve a very high touch clientele.
Yes, our clients do not feel well. They're not doing well. Sometimes they have emotional issues or cognitive issues. Which is understandable for people that are, have chronic diseases, have chronic pain. They're just, they're high touch people.
And the adversary is the government. So the government sends you this big, very official looking document with a deadline, and they mailed it 2 weeks ago and you just got it, which cuts into your deadline. And so the panic ensues to someone who's already physically and or has some cognitive issues. And so this is the clientele that we serve at Marc Whitehead and Associates, which may be unique to us instead of your listeners.
And we love the clients that we serve.
We do. I think that we serve a very needed market.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so it's a privilege to do so, and it comes with certain things, like, for example, what we call escalations internally. Call escalations for us may not mean the same thing for you, so I urge you to consider what that means specific to your practice area. But for us, it's, for example, when a client's called back to back within a period of time, 4 hours, 8 hours, 2 hours, whatever that is, repeat calls. What we're finding, especially with our clients, was that they'll either hang up reception, just keep calling, hey, I need to call back. Meanwhile, what if our team is on a level 10, for goodness sakes, right? Like on a mandatory team meeting, or they're at lunch at I say mandatory, they go out to lunch together.
Yes, even our people deserve, at least a 15-minute lunch every day.
Yep.
Before we crack the whip and say, get back to the coal mine.
Please come work at Marc Whitehead and Associates.
We are a great place to work. We are a great place to work.
So our call escalations were increasing. We didn't have a process for that. But we also, this is the part where I get embarrassed, we had tech we weren't using. Marc had gotten us. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
wasted tech.
You had case status, which you knew this because we've talked about it, and this was a kind of a rub for you, why we were using case status to get NPS scores, because the case managers initially didn't like it, but you thought they were the ultimate canary in the coal mine.
Right. Well, I get that people don't like, negative feedback, especially when they think it's not fair. But the reality is I would rather them tell us internally as opposed to go out to the world and tell the Google gods that these people, are awful. And then what are you going to do about it? Then you're kind of stuck. If you ask them internally and ask them early and ask them repeatedly, that's what case status does. They're offering the NPS scores very frequently. I don't know exactly how that works. The magic fairies make it work. I don't know. But then number one, gives the client a chance to vent. And number two, we can deal with it early and internally. Sometimes there are legitimate concerns. Sometimes there's misunderstandings. Sometimes we need to reset expectations. But you don't know unless you ask.
Exactly. And so the final reason was when we knew it was time, in keeping with my thesis that humans are going to help other humans make decisions. I've been on Marc for the last, 2-3 years. I guess I have been nagging about increasing our client video testimonials.
Yes.
And there were always many reasons why you didn't want to do them, or why it is a big project to take on.
Right. And we've done them in the past. Can I tell us an aside story?
I don't know.
Okay. So we did some client testimonial videos. I want to say this 15 years ago. And one of the client testimonials says, Marc is my angel. He can be your angel too. I mean, that just really touched me. And this woman, I personally handled her case. And about a year later, she passed away, which sadly happens to our clients from time to time because we're dealing with that population. And I just happened to be on the phone with her sister talking about her estate. And I said, your sister's video testimonial is up on my website. I would like to keep it up, but if you don't want it up, I will take it down. And she goes, I never heard of this. And so she says, well, I'll go check it out. And she calls me back after she sees it, calls me back crying.
Oh.
And she begged me, don't ever take it down.
Yeah.
And to this day, it is somewhere on our website. It may not be on the front page anymore, but it is still up, and that will always be up.
That's a great tribute, Marc.
Yes.
To her.
To
not
her.
Necessarily. I'm sure
to her.
For you, but yeah.
Anyway, so I'm not opposed to the client videos. It just is a little bit more problematic today since our clients don't come into our office today like they did 10, 15 years ago. So it's just a little harder.
And this has been Marc's response in some form or fashion.
We would actually have to go out to them, quite frankly.
I disagree, but because we do also have advances in technology in the last 15 years.
Well, that's true. We could do some Zoom stuff.
Cameras on every smartphone. But,
okay.
The biggest problem was just a person to start the process with the client after their win, right? And so that became part of the hope for this position. And we're working towards whenever you have a great settlement, when you're happiest with the firm, get some survey, some sentiment, a client sentiment on, why did you choose our firm, and ask the client a lot more decision or questions to help us improve our marketing. Mm-hmm. So moving on to the job description. What does this person do all day? So there are three things that currently this person owns. And I will say we kind of really got lucky because we got to not only beta test this with a brand new person, she wants to stay part-time. So it's really great because it's when I was in the meeting and they were like, well, who manages this person? And they all pointed to me. I was like, oh, guys, come on, don't give me a direct report. But this direct report's part-time. It was beautiful. Okay, so there are three things that she owns.
Haven't we tried to talk her into full-time now? We love her so much, and she still wants to stay part-time.
But that's okay.
Okay, well, as long as she can get the job done.
Well, yes, and we love her so much that we'll just say, whatever you want, Sylvia, you can stay. So she has three main things that she currently owns, and that's the negative review process, the NPS scores, and call escalations. And this is going to lead into what we have for her KPIs. But for the negative review process, she goes into Bright Local every single day, and she looks for the 1-star reviews.
What is Bright Local?
Bright Local aggregates all of our Google reviews from our various GMB listings. I just got a gold star because I knew the answer to that question.
Okay, cool.
And so she goes in and is specifically looking for the 1-star reviews because we're trying to either, can we take them down under the very limited exceptions, or can we get ahead of it and respond quickly to the negative review?
Possibly get them to take it down if we can change their mind.
Right. And exactly, and get to the client while it's fresh. So there's been several iterations already of this process, and where we currently are is that she now has authority to send it directly to the department and to also put together a summary of the activity. We call it the activity timeline. And Lit If I Speak, that's the summary of the activity with the client for all of you on any other case management software, so that everyone can say, hey, you have first dibs at calling the client back and this is what we expect from you. Please ask the client to take down if not, but also just be aware you got a negative review. And then if they don't feel comfortable talking to the client, then Sylvia's job is to talk to the client. That is very unique for our firm. I will say that, for example, Craig's firm, that does not happen. The client relations administrator absolutely calls the client directly. Is nascent a word? Nascent.
It is a word. I'm not sure how to use it. I was not an English major here.
We
I was
are
a finance
new,
major.
In this process, that our case managers are still very reticent to turn over client contact to a brand new person. Mm-hmm. So we've given them the authority to handle that client contact as long as they do it within the parameters that we have set forth for them, which is 24 business hours of receiving the review and certain other things. They also have to, now we go over our NPS scores.
Yes.
Yeah. So she actually has to go through them every week. And because we get them emailed to us weekly, and she starts looking for your canaries in the coal mine. She looks for the 5s, because the NPS scores, right, are from 1 to 10, I guess 0 to 10.
So why don't you tell real quickly, because even I don't know, how often does the client get the chance to do an NPS score in the case status system? How does that work?
Great question. And again, that's unique to our firm because we are tweaking it for our particular feedback we've received from our case managers. And that's at stage change.
Okay, so every time the case changes stages, which we have basically 5 stages.
We've kind of changed it a little bit more for granularity to give the client more insight because the length of the case has increased. And I said a lot there.
Yes, you did.
There are only 5 stages in a Social Security disability application for you to get granted. In our system, there's a lot more because we wanted to create more visibility for our team from an ops perspective.
You created substages.
We created substages. And each of those substages is also a trigger for the client to say, hey, now you're at this part of it. And, still a little ways to go, but this is what happens at this specific part. Because application can unfortunately now take a very long time, 12, 18 months in and of itself. Which is a very long time. And so now so anytime there's a stage change, we get a request from a client to review the NPS scores. Sometimes the 0...
we send the request to the client.
Exactly. Okay. And then that gets put on a report that our client relations person receives every week and that she then has to review. If we got a 0, but the client says, love this firm, they just didn't really understand.
Maybe they got the scale the wrong way.
They got the scale a little wrong. Now, on the flip side, if they give a 10 instead of
they're number 1. Let's give them a 1.
Exactly.
Yes,
so you've got to review that.
Not exactly how that works.
No one had the time to actually go through and parse through it. And if they were, giving us a 5 and said, I don't like this process or this is taking too long, she still goes in, our client relations person, still just checks to make sure there's appropriate client contact, but a 5 then isn't actionable. You can always have your 5s go to the case manager or go to your team lead, but someone's still got to review for those little idiosyncrasies that happen in any scoring system.
Yeah.
And then finally, of course, our call escalations. So we have both phone and walk-in escalations that she now helps de-escalate.
Mm-hmm. God help us when the walk-in comes.
We don't get that many.
Don't get that many.
But they are, they do, and because I think we don't get that many, and because they do tend to be high emotion, it does tend to send the team to a bit of a tailspin.
Yeah. I think we do have walk-ins from time to time that I think mostly what they're doing is bringing their medical records. They don't. It's amazing. A lot of our clients don't trust the mail.
We
why?
Don't trust the mail,
I know
Mark.
we don't trust the mail either. So if we need it, don't mail it. If you can drop it by, drop it by. So
yeah, and then so moving on to KPIs. This one's a little harder because most KPIs, obviously, they have to be key performance indicators, have to be something that the person can own. Whereas everything that I've just described is in her job description is a reactive.
She's in a very reactive position, and that's very hard to have active KPIs for a reactive position.
Yep, she's always waiting for either the report to be sent to her or
in a perfect world, she would sit there and twiddle her thumbs all day because we did everything right and nobody complained.
Oh no, we would be sending gifts. We'd be spending a lot more of your marketing money.
Okay, well then that's good too. So
that would be the perfect world, spending a lot more of your marketing dollars on those types of things and getting more video testimonials. But now she is graded on, we have a weekly score, or we have a scorecard that we're developing for her on does her response time to call escalations. At a certain point, she has to respond within 1 hour. Does she do that? Is she ensuring that client has been contacted if it doesn't meet the threshold for her to directly contact the client? Is she producing reports for my review, whether that's on the NPS scores, or she also has to produce the weekly call escalation review? Because I know none of our team listen to this so they can see it, but then that will make it down to departmental scorecards. We've started, I'd say, sanitizing the information now. That's not the right word. That's not the right verb. I'm struggling with vocabulary today.
Wow.
But we've started
You were an English major, weren't you not?
No, I wasn't.
I thought you were. What were you? Some foo-foo liberal arts major?
I was. So we've introduced the metric to certain teams' scorecards, but have not held anyone accountable. So the thing that I wanted to make, the point is that we have made the data visible, which has inherently increased accountability.
Okay.
Just the transparency of the information has decreased a lot of our our client frustration, because now team leads, attorneys see the number of the call escalations because
public praise, public shame. It gets results.
It's not shame, because that's a very bad word, Mark. You know the GIF that
there's the way I phrase things, and there's the way you like to phrase things.
Game of Thrones. Oh gosh, if our editor can just put the shame GIF over our heads right now, that would be awesome. That would make a great little clip.
I'm one of the weirdos who never watched Game of Thrones.
I don't either, but I still know my GIFs.
Yeah.
GIFs.
I don't know. Too violent for me.
But the point is that we have her KPIs, even though they're reactive, she still has her things that we need her to hold accountable to, and so that's what her KPIs are. Mm-hmm. But even just making some of the information visible has already increased, I think, our client sentiment numbers. So 2 more points in this segment, Mark, where we're going.
Where are we going? Well, where are we going? So you mentioned being proactive and actually expounding upon the positives, as well as just her reacting to the negatives. I'm not quite sure how she can do that on a part-time basis, but that's what I would love to see so she's going to start working on developing actually, here's what I think she's going to do. All right, well, tell me what you're thinking.
What I love for her to do is to work on
Notice how you tried to throw it to me, and I did not pick the cue up at all.
At all. I don't like... Okay, that's okay. We're going to focus on delivering more consistent, empathetic, compassionate customer service. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is...
Thinking of you gifts. There you go. I love it.
Exactly. So things, one of the things that, we have these wonderful blankets now with the firm logo. So when you have a surgery,
very fuzzy, love them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I fell asleep on your couch the other day, and
I needed my blanket.
I did use your blanket. It was there. You were on spring break. You weren't going to use it.
I understand that this is your office, but we have got... That's okay, sir. We will talk about boundaries later.
I'll buy you a new blanket.
Yes, sir, you will be. But so one of the things that we want to get more proactive on is those little touch points within the client's journey, and the things we talked about during our other podcasts. I'm blanking on the names now, but how we can send more of the thinking of you gifts in between the representation to increase our client satisfaction. We're also going to start implementing a new survey tool to gauge their client satisfaction at the end of or between intake and matter, and then also, of course, at the end with just automating and using technology rather than having just her ask some of these questions.
Right. And this is where you can go and do the things that you mentioned, like get the client testimonial videos, which
exactly
is the holy grail of marketing.
I think so, for sure.
Yes.
Especially for the clientele that we want. I think that people's that Marc is my angel. I mean, come on, in an updated video, that would get so many views.
I know, and it was just she that was totally unprompted too. She just said it. Nobody prompted her.
No, that wasn't scripted.
That was not scripted. It was. I mean, I had a video production company, and they interviewed everybody for like 30 minutes, and then took the best and pieced it together, and they were so excited when they got that, like, dude, look at this, Marc, look.
Yeah, I definitely got goosebumps hearing it because that is why we do what we do. So we're going to definitely get more proactive on some of those things that can make our clients happy, both mid-representation and then again at the end, trying to utilize their happy feelings at that point to increase our marketing, because I do really think that anything that you can do, this is more important than your next AI tool.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just me finding a quippy little, hey, Diana, for you guys. But then I also wanted to mention this because we got it at Atticus, at our last Atticus coaching thing. Craig mentioned it to us, so I'm passing it on to you guys because I thought it was so cool. Marc, do you remember Craig talking about the Chenoweth Law Group client communication policy?
Yes, he did. Did you go download that?
I looked at it. I really like it.
Okay, I thought you were going to send it to me. You didn't send it to me.
That's okay.
Okay, fine.
I'll send it to you now.
Okay, send it to me now. No, Craig was all excited about it, and then you got all excited about it, and apparently I must have stepped out for coffee or something because I wasn't paying close attention to it.
Yeah, or something over there.
Something.
Somebody closed down the bar the night before. But this one I think is really cool because what you're trying to do, I heard this in some show at some point, frustration is a result of unmet expectations. And if you can figure out where is it unmet or is it the expectations part of it, and then if you could really dial that in, then the frustration goes away. And I think that that's what Chenoweth Law Group's client communication policy is. They're a
Are you teasing a free giveaway here?
I am not. I mean, Google it, man. Google it,
Google
guys.
it.
Chenoweth, Chenowth.
Can we put a link in the show notes of how to find it?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay.
But one of the few things, so I'm going to give you a couple of quotes from it. This client communication policy outlines what you can generally, they're italicized, not me, generally expect from us in terms of how and when we communicate. I think that's beautiful. You're setting expectations so that they hopefully will not be unmet expectations to increase frustration, your odds of frustration. Another thing that they put in the policy is expected response time for phone and email. Very clear, 2 business days. They also make it clear, leave a detailed message. One of our case managers' biggest responses is clients will say, call me back. I need to talk to you.
About what?
Exactly. And then
if I knew, I could put together a quick text and I can answer your question.
Exactly. But no, they want to talk to somebody, which is also another great thing for whenever we get some of those. Those are now going to like Sylvie, like if they just need to talk to someone, send them to our client relations person. But I need to talk to you. That's the most frustrating for our case managers, because if they do call back, it's like, but now I'm on the phone for 40 minutes when it's really like, I could have done that in a simple text. But the detailed message sets the expectation that I can serve you better if you just give me a detailed message. And so the final thing is that they also put in their policy that you can expect to hear from your attorney once every 60 days. I think that's great.
Yeah, and now you better hold your attorneys to that. You don't put in your policy and then don't live up to it.
Well, and we've got all the things to track that.
Yeah.
That is something very easy for us to track. So if I could just make sure people hear that, understand it, then they won't get mad when they don't hear from us in once every 2 weeks. I think that I saw this on LinkedIn the other day. Cassidy Lewis posted this on LinkedIn. She goes, let's just all agree we will never speak to our clients as much as they want to speak, as much as they want to be spoken to. Let's just all agree, whatever practice area you're in, that's just our baseline. But if you can set their expectations.
We're not hourly attorneys, so no, not happening.
I don't even know that hourly attorneys can meet the expectations of some
they'd
clients.
be happy to just bill that 0.6 every time. They would just love it.
But I think that if you can get to where you're like, you know what, you will hear from me. Once every 60 days, you will hear from me. And if that can be received, you might get you can reduce your friction.
It's all about client expectation. Just set it.
So when we come back, our 5 takeaways from as what we're doing when we develop our client relations department.
This is Marc Whitehead, lawyer, entrepreneur, and business coach. Thanks for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast. If we've stirred your juices, hit me up with an email at marc@marcwhitehead.com. Remember, Marc is spelled with a C. And get on the Successful Barrister newsletter mailing list. Even better, let's set up a call. I'd love to talk to you about working together, talk shop, or just shooting the breeze.
And we're back. So guys, our 5 takeaways on developing your client relations department, if you don't have one like we didn't at the beginning of the year. Number 1, survey your clients. You don't need any fancy tools like we have Case Status. You can use Google or SharePoint forms to develop a simple Q&A with your question that you can send out to your clients after the end of your representation, or even midpoint if you want to. And then if you want to, then you can develop, I'd say, a workflow so that you can then have all of your 9s and 10s go automatically send it to a client to request a Google review.
Yes.
Because all of that happens with the tech now, but you can still do these things manually if you're not ready to commit to tech and or person.
Right. I would advise send it via text, because people pay attention to the text way more than they spend. And so easy to delete an email survey form, but they'll do the text. They do.
Yep. I mean, and I don't know how many of our listeners have, all the texting capabilities or where they are with everything.
Yeah.
So
at a minimum, have a firm cell phone and just manually text them. I mean, if you're not a high volume firm, you don't need fancy software. If you're not
want to invest in it, just there are ways.
Send them texts. How am I doing?
All right. What's your takeaway, Marc?
If you're not ready for a dedicated team member yet, and I understand a lot of people may not be, support your team by creating processes to alleviate the pressure. Who do they contact for help with an increasingly agitated client? We've had this happen kind of lately. So who do we contact? How does it dealt with? What are the responses to de-escalate the situation? We do a little bit of de-escalation training within the firm. When they go high, you go low. The louder they get, the lower your voice gets in response. Do not match them. I mean, we train people on this. So to have some policies, procedures, and some training on how to handle irritated clients and how to de-escalate.
That's a great point, Marc. Number 3 for me, which was my biggest hindrance in setting this up, is we hired for personality, not just experience, because it was, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, well, how do I go looking? What's the job title that you even use so that I could post a job description on Indeed and find
firm
this
happy person? Exactly.
Who wants to deal with all my angry clients? Just job description. And so what we did was just ended up hiring for personality, and that's ended up, that worked for Craig as well. Your client relations administrator, you don't need anyone with legal experience. You're really trying to use tools like the DISC and other tools to make sure that you are hiring the right personality, just a high enough I that they're going to be happy to talk on the phone, but not a high D that's going to be really combative. So just look for personality, not experience.
Yes. Number 4, consider a client communication policy. For example, like the Chenoweth one that we have mentioned earlier from the first part of the representations, set expectations on day 1. By the way, we check the show notes. We will put a link in there so you can plagiarize theirs all you want. But just make sure that frustrations don't go unmet. It's normal to have frustrations, but figure out processes to meet their frustrations. And make it part of your onboarding checklist.
Yep. And so number 5 is still my thesis. A compassionate human workforce is your ultimate competitive advantage. Your clients are coming to you when they're in crisis. The firms that are going to win in the next decade are the ones with the flashiest tech. I think they're ones that are going to make their clients feel genuinely heard. So however you do it, please develop a client relations department, even if it's someone whose role becomes just part client relations. Your team needs it and your clients need it.
Right.
They both deserve it.
Absolutely. So I like this format where you do the outline and you do play-by-play and I do color.
Mark, you are not going
we're gonna. I think we're gonna do this forever. So your tag,
your
this is
flattery will get you nowhere, sir.
Yeah. So I was watching NBA basketball last night. There's always one guy who's doing the play-by-play, and there's one guy that's just saying random shit. It's the color guy. I'm that dude. I'm that dude.
That also is not going to work.
Oh, I love it.
I think it's time for our outro.
Fine. So I want to thank everybody for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast, where legal legends are made. I'm Mark.
And I'm Diana.
And together we're the dynamic duo of law. So if you've enjoyed this episode, rate and review it and share it with your fellow overworked attorneys who could use a little bit of inspiration. To find more episodes or resources, visit us at successfulbarrister.com or hit us up with an email, diana@markwhitehead.com. That's Diana with a D and Marc Whitehead with the C.com. And make sure to visit our sponsor, Marc Whitehead and Associates, a national disability law firm, at www.disabilitydenials.com. Go build a practice, not a prison. See ya.
Bye.